Hey guys, welcome to the LGBTQ Voice tonight. I'm your host. Eileen will be here next week covering. I'm Traci Welch. So I want to apologize for last week's technical difficulties. We were all here, we had some of our guests, and there's a leak in the studio. So for safety's sake, we wanted to make sure that we didn't get fried. So our guests last week, we're going to be talking about HIV, AIDS prevention, PrEP, and PEP. They'll be here next week, so it'll be Seven Hills Behavioral Health Twist. It'll be Greater Bedford Health and Health Imperative. So look for our show next week with Eileen. But for tonight, each week we talk about events, topics, resources, and how to connect communities together and what's impacting the LGBT community at large. If you'd like to sponsor the show, air your commercial, do a show takeover, please contact leo@newbedfordguide.com, and that's just showing up on your feed right now. As you guys know, each week it takes me that second to find the show on the Bedford Guide Facebook page so we can answer your comments. So give me that 1 second, figure out where it is, and I'll be right with you guys. And we're getting there. Here we go, and comments. So we just set it up, turn the volume down. We already have a hello. So, and I apologize, your first name, Kyle Big Gups Nathan Novo says hello. So shout out to you. If you guys have comments about tonight. So before we start, I just want to let you know tonight's guests are from Umass Law School Human Rights at Home Clinic. So to my left, we have Professor Jeremiah Ho, Professor Margaret Drew, and we have student attorneys Aisha Malik and Terry Melendez Miguel. If I said it right, sorry, I'm trying. So we have 4 guests tonight. So we actually had this group, Professor Drew and was it Molly, actually came to the South Coast LGBTQ Network monthly meeting 2 months ago. And this topic was so impactful to us, we'd asked them to come on The Voice. So again, if you guys want or know of a group or organization that want to be on our show, please just email myself or Eileen. It's actually in the header of the page that AJ sets up, because that's how cool AJ is. AJ is our tech guy behind the scenes. So they're going to be talking tonight about, God help me, because I left the other notes in the other room. What's going on for the free clinic, what's going on at the clinic, the work they're doing around the community, helping transgender individuals who seek name changes, working with a Freeform, an organization that works with survivors of gender violence who wish to sue their abusers. There's a whole list of stuff we're going to do. So what I'm going to do this week, I was going to go one by one and kind of ask them, they're going to talk about what they've been doing, and then at the end we'll kind of come up with some questions for everybody. So Professor Ho, what's going on at the, well, technically you're not part of that, so tell us about what your history is with them.
Well, so thank you for having me, and this is a real pleasure. I am not directly affiliated with the clinic, but I teach at the law school, so Margaret here and I are both colleagues here on the faculty at Umass Law. And I write about LGBTQ rights currently and the state of what happened with marriage equality, moving on to anti-discrimination, which is the next step on the national level. And in addition to that, I have also been a faculty advisor for the Outlaw Group, which is the student law school LGBTQ group. This year it was offline, but in the past I have been the faculty advisor. And also I'm somewhat affiliated with the Center for Women in Gender and Sexuality that's at the main campus at Umass Dartmouth.
And Mitch is part of our organization.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Mitch is on our board. It's a small world, you just
Yeah.
never know who you're going to meet.
Especially on the South Coast.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
I just think it's funny. So please, go ahead, sorry.
So yes, I just am glad to kind of talk about sort of the things that we have on our campus, both at the law school level, but also at the main campus level. One thing that's related, I think, to the LGBT youth community that's happening this week at Umass Dartmouth is the LGBTQ Youth Symposium that the center is having. It's yearly held, and this week it's held on this Friday at Woodland Commons on the main campus, and it is geared to high school students who are queer or LGBTQ affiliated, and any questions about becoming an undergraduate at Dartmouth and what that experience is like.
Oh, cool beans.
Yeah.
Anything else? Dr.
Oh.
Chu?
Oh,
Oh, sorry.
Well, I can tell you that the origins of our Human Rights at Home clinic started, well, two-pronged. One is myself and two colleagues conducted a study several years ago on determining what would the needs be of members of the community living with HIV or AIDS.
Yeah.
And we did this from not just a strictly legal perspective, and with the goal in mind of establishing a clinic that would help serve the needs of the community. So, to our surprise, but not to the surprise of people who do AIDS work nationally, transportation was the biggest impediment.
That's everything. Every group
It
around
is.
here, New Bedford, Fall River, everywhere.
Yes. So, so after the study was completed, I started the Human Rights at Home clinic, and chose that name because most law school clinics focus on human rights difficulties in other countries.
Yeah.
But as members of this community and many other communities know, we have our own human rights issues here in the United States.
Yeah.
So we're focused on human rights issues within the U.S.
You know, somebody actually sent me a private message on Facebook, asked me if I'd like to help the people over in Belize. And I said, I just can't. You know, I have neighbors that need us right now, which I need to help internally before I can help globally.
Yes.
You know, that's just me. You know, that's where I'm at, you know.
And with all of the administrative changes going on, it really is a time where there's huge need for legal support for many, but we particularly want to focus on the needs of the LGBTQ community. That's where the clinic had its origins, but we also know that's where there's a huge unmet need.
Oh, wicked. So I have another shout out. The person that said hello earlier said, I am trans. I need the name change. What happened to my arm? That's another story. Give me a shout out. I love you guys. Maria Jawad asked for a shout out, so you get a shout out. So,
Let me give the number for the clinic.
definitely.
The number is 508-985-1159.
You say it again?
508-985-1159.
Yeah.
And if you call that number, we will get back to you within 24 hours. You may reach our clinic coordinator, Crystal, or if it goes to voicemail, we will get your message promptly. And we will be in touch with you about assisting you with name change.
Well, that's great. We actually have 4 kids right now that are transitioning female to male.
Okay.
From in our general area that I know of.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just amazing. They've changed their name on Facebook, to whatever, but there's going to be that time that I'm sure
Absolutely.
they're going to want to change it. And to know that it's close by. So many things, we have to go to Boston, we have to go to Fenway, we have to go to Boston, we have to go to Fenway,
Yes.
we're like,
No.
and transportation, hello, can't get there from here.
Right. And we just want to make sure people as they're going through the process, are treated respectfully.
Yep.
And many times we can complete the name change documents and mail it to the court and wait for the court to approve it.
Yeah.
So there's not always a court hearing involved. Occasionally there might be, but most of the time these are allowed administratively by the court.
Oh, good deal. I can't see my face right now for the show. That's really funny. Usually I can see us live. So we're going to go over to student attorney Aisha Malik. I always say Malik. Malik! I got it.
It's Aisha Malik.
Aisha.
I'll get it.
Thank you for having me. I'm a second-year law student at Umass School of Law, and I'm also a representative at the Human Rights at Home clinic.
Okay.
We work on many different kinds of issues, but currently we are working on gathering as much support as we can on 2 bills. I will talk more about that, but just to back up a little bit,
Please.
I want to tell you something very important and interesting. That's disturbing as well. Massachusetts has no minimum age to get married. Children as young as, for girls, it's 12, for boys, it's 14. And all you need is 1 parental consent and 1 judge's approval, and you're married. And
That's just scary.
it is scary.
When Professor Drew and Molly, I always say her name wrong, were at the network meeting, I wrote that down because I still have my notes from your meeting, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe it.
Most people
You're 12
would
years
not
old, time to
know
get
that.
married. Bye-bye, get out of my house. Or, like I said, talking about earlier, going overseas, paying money. Here's my kid, give me money.
And many of us would think or believe, oh my God, it's Romeo and Juliet scenario. No, marriage of minors is not romantic. Many of these young girls, they are being married to older men. And it's not even, it's only women. Young boys, age 14, 15, are being trafficked and exploited and forced into marriages. So what do we do? Two bills have been passed in the legislature, S24 and H1478. They focus on denying the right to marry a minor under 18, no exceptions. The violators will be charged $1,000 fine or imprisoned for 1 year or both. And the second bill is derived from the first that gives the right of young girls or boys 13 above to get a restraining order against their abuser. Because these kids, they are reporting sexual abuse and many different kinds of abuse. So the restraining order gives you protection against that.
And I'll add that many courts will hear restraining orders for minors as young as 13, but it's not a uniform process.
No.
So the statute would clarify for the judges that they do have authority to enter restraining orders on behalf of youth.
It's just, me being an adult advisor for LGBTQ youth, and for you guys that don't know, we have an NB Adley, the Bedford Alliance of Gay and Lesbian Youth in New Bedford. It just amazes me that, especially, tell me what's the age group that I could say that somebody sexually abused me? Was it like I could be 16 and date a 21-year-old? But yet the other way around, you can get away with it.
Statistics show that from 2000 till 2018, 4,000 immigrant visas were issued under the name of fiancé.
Yeah.
And over 1,000 kids have been legally married in Massachusetts. And many of us would think that, oh my God, it is with their consent. No, if you think about it, they're in court in front of their parents and judge and everyone. They don't have a say in this. They cannot even publicly say, I do not want this. I do not want to get married.
No, the percentage that you just said in Massachusetts, is it because of nationality or their ethnicity, where they're from, that they're marrying them off? Is it,
Not necessarily, because a lot of it might be religious. If a young girl's pregnant, the family might force her to get married.
Yeah.
And very often what the parents might not understand is that the father is her rapist.
Yeah.
So that's pretty common, but it's very difficult. It's not the judges don't want to do the appropriate thing. It's that when you have the family and the young teen before you in court, the teen's not going to talk about the abuse, particularly if the abuser's there.
Standing right beside you.
So there is training being developed for judges around this also, which is really helpful. The family court administration has been eager to have the judges trained in this and have been instrumental in developing materials.
Oh, that's great. So anything else before I go to Terry?
Yes, I just want to say the human rights at Umass school. We would like to hear from anyone under the age of 18 who have been married and confidentially would like to share their experience or talk about it. They can call at the clinic, 508.
The same number she said?
Yes.
AJ, is that number up on our feed? The phone number she said? Thank you. So again, any comments, questions, concerns, you can call that number and somebody will direct the call to them and they'll get back to you. Okay.
And if I could just add to
Definitely.
what Aisha mentioned about the 4,000 fiancé visas, that's young boys as well as girls.
Yeah.
And this is how traffickers get folks into the country, right? As they claim the young teen is their fiancé.
Yeah.
And so they bring them over on a fiancé visa. Next thing you know, these kids are being sex trafficked.
So what you're saying is somebody from Bermuda, I'm just picking somebody, would say, oh, I'm married, this is my kid, and then they get over here, they just do whatever to the kid. It's not just that these kids are from Massachusetts, that are
Correct.
12 and 14 get married and going overseas or something
Correct.
else. It's more so that people coming into the country using
Yes.
that as a reason or an
Exactly.
excuse. But, okay.
Yes.
So Jenny, God help me, these last names are killing me. Hi, Jenny. Jenny says hi, Emporia, Virginia. So that's where she's watching from. So we actually had somebody one week from Puerto Rico.
Wow.
Because, yeah, you just never know where people are watching us.
Well,
so.
that's a great introduction
Yeah.
for Terry, who's from Puerto
And I apologize, y'all know I shred names out. I'm like, what's the name? I had to spell it like it's pronounced, and I still screwed it up. So, Terry, why don't you tell us what's going on and what you're doing as a student at Umass?
Sure. I'm a fifth-year part-time law student, and I'm a member of the Human Rights at Home Clinic. And I'm here to talk among two things. One is the Quarry Ceiling that we do.
Yep.
Because we find that people who have criminal records face an enormous barrier into being integrated into the community and getting meaningful employment, education, or housing. And it's like their punishment has been extended by the fact that they go out there and they cannot have a meaningful access to these services. So what we like to do is we help people get their quarries, which they can do online, and they can have the fee waived. And we go through the process so it can be sealed. However, the probation or parole that they're in must be completely done by the time they request for the Quarry Ceiling.
Gotcha.
And we can help them through the process of filling out the paperwork, or if they need to apply for a waiver of the fee or whatever it is, we are there to guide them and help them. The only thing that they must know or be aware of is that the records will be sealed. Regular employers and landlords won't be able to have access to that. But if you're asking for a job in the courthouse, as a police officer, or working with children, those agencies and those people will actually have access to the full quarry.
So we talked offline, guys. So one of my concerns was, God forbid that I was a child molester, I'll use it that way, and I changed my sex from female to male. I thought, oh my God, you're going to seal that? So it's good to know it's not. So what kind of crimes, I guess, would be sealed?
Well, it's 3 years for misdemeanors,
Yeah.
and it's 7 years for felonies, which was this last year a reduction in the waiting time. So crimes such as OUIs, a multitude of crimes. Recently, a big prohibition for many was resisting arrest, because that seems to be tacked on to all charges, or many charges. But the last criminal reform bill said that you can seal resisting arrest also if the number of years has passed. Also, for sex offender, that comes into both name change, right? Yep. If a trans individual wanted to change names, they do a query check before a name change is permitted, and that's one reason. That's probably an instance where the court would have a hearing.
Yeah, because that scares me.
Yes.
Oh my God.
And the waiting period is much longer with sex offenses. So some could be 15 years before you could even apply, and it depends upon your level, the level in the registry also, whether or not you can seal a record.
So I have a shout out. Nate says, hi Traci and Kevin.
Hi Nate.
Hi Nate. Someone wanted me to tell you, so I will say it. Maria says that you're pretty. So you got your shout out. Now stop it. How about a question, or I want to know what's going on. So these guys are a little bit nervous because they thought it was a radio show. So when
Yeah.
I first got here, you know, like, I'm like, no, this is me, jeans,
So Aisha
t-shirt, and
looks
baseball
fabulous.
cap.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of funny. But each week, like I said, we talk about different things, and it's been kind of cool. We'll kind of keep going with that. I guess, so someone's going to say, because I always look at the other side, well, I'm straight, and I'm not getting my name changed. How do I get my record sealed?
Call us.
So it doesn't matter if I'm under any umbrella, you can seal my
Absolutely.
record?
Yes,
Okay, because I hear both sides, well, how come you get to and I don't?
No, we do many community outreach programs
Yeah.
where we're speaking with all different communities within New Bedford, Fall River, and surrounding towns. So no, we do this for everyone, but we know that it's a particular concern with transgender individuals, and it's just much more difficult emotionally with the changes, because you have to deal with the original name as well as the current name. So no, but certainly our services are open to all.
So since you brought up Professor Drew, about the transgender, March 31st was International Transgender
Yes.
Day, where there's International Transgender Remembrance for people that have passed away, and I actually posted that on probably 8 to 10 Facebook pages, and the hate mail I got from the Fall River group was just awful. It was F you, why do you need your own day, what's going on, you know, screw you, you know, it was just so awful out there. And we had done the network, the South Coast LGBTQ network, we had done our own community needs assessment, and it's just that 68.5% of people feel safe in the community. That's like 32% that still don't. 72.5% feel safe in the workplace. That's 28% that still don't feel safe. So, and when we talk about the transgender law that stayed for public accommodations, I know they call it the bathroom bill, but for us it wasn't just the bathroom bill. Again, over 30% said no. So our statistics are in line with how people voted this year to keep that law in place. And our kids, like we talked earlier in the show, that we have kids that are transitioning right now. We've had one kid with their parents' consent, they've done all the therapy, just had chest surgery, 9 months ago now? Oh, yeah. About 9 months ago. We have one that's in his first year of college, and every time that he comes to the group, we ask him, we ask him first, because you never want to say to a transgender person, oh, tell me about you, what's going on? You just don't. But at our youth group, we say, listen, would you mind if every month you come back, or every week you come back because he's in college, can you give us an update? Well, this one particular day before he started college, his voice changed, and I didn't know, because I stuck on halls all the time, if it was just the weather, what's going on. He's like, no, my voice is changing. And one particular day, and I said it at the movie series last couple weeks ago, he shaved his leg. And I looked down, I'm going, all right, so I had to ask him, why did you shave your leg? And legs, excuse me. And he said because he just didn't like how the breeze felt on the hair on his legs. He never felt that before, so it didn't feel natural to him. And you can be whoever you want. You can shave your legs or not shave your legs. You can do whatever you want and still be female to male. So I wanted to kind of give a shout out to that.
And I should mention also that we will be seeing undergraduates on the Umass Dartmouth the main campus. So if any students are listening who are in need of a name change or record sealing, but particularly we'll be meeting at the Center for Gender Studies, or I'm not sure that's the correct
The Center
name.
for Women, Gender, and Sexuality.
I have a hard time with that one
Yes.
too.
You know, it's
Yes, because Mitch,
Yes.
Mitch Ruby, I always say Mitch's last name wrong too. Mitch is actually one of the directors on the board of
Yes.
the network.
So a student could call them or us to make an appointment for when we'll be there.
I just think it's amazing. Like I said, when you guys came to talk, I'm like, I don't think people know enough what's going on in our community. And that's why, like, if you guys have events and posters and whatnot, just email it to me. And as long as it's just something I can just, screenshot or copy and paste.
Perfect.
I showed on, like I said, there's a Rhode Island LGBTQ page. There's a Mass Rhode Island page. There's actually a civil rights page. We actually have our network page, we have and the Agley youth page, or allies of our youth page. Because again, we talk about safety for our kids. Our kids have their own page, even though it's 4 to 24. Parents want to know, no, it's private. Our kids, they can say what they want. They say, hey, I'm going to be here. It's not like a chat, but it's more of, this is what's going on in the community if you want to kind of go and hang out.
That'd be fabulous. Thank you.
Especially for the event you have coming up on this Friday, because we don't know who's going to go. Because one of our kids, and I'll talk to you guys probably offline if you give a minute, we got 4 grants this year to have, we will pay for interns, we pay you to train somebody. So one of our kids starts doing law, wants to do law. So Kevin behind us wants to do airplane stuff. So once we get together with that, they just finished all their assignments that we need to do. We're going to reach out to businesses and whatnot, and we get $10,000 in grant money to do 4 interns for our
Fabulous.
kids. So yeah, it's a little bit behind the scenes. I know we just kind of went outside
That's
there,
great.
but it's our show that can do
terrific.
that. Psych!
Yes.
Yes.
We kind of went around the board, so I'm going to kind of ask you guys some questions. So do you guys have an LGBTQ group on campus?
We do. It's called Outlaw. This year it was offline, but hopefully in the future it will be back online. So there is a LGBT Law Student Association. In addition, there are also LGBT youth groups or student groups on the main campus as well.
Okay. Because if you can get offline, when we get offline, just give me that information. I'd love to, because our group's 18-24, and since we're doing plugs, we do Pride Cafe, the same center, and it's an 18-plus group. So we're getting people away from the bar scene, talk about acceptance. Sometimes they do Jenga, right? Giant Jenga. One day, we played Trouble. I'm like, it's just, a place to meet. Yeah, it sounds kind of childish sometimes to play games, and sometimes that's what we need, But like I said, what else do you do there? Movie night?
Oh yeah, movie night, game night, but it's on a hiatus for now.
Yeah, so it just kind of depends what they do on Monday nights, but every Monday night at 484 Pleasant Street, downtown New Bedford, we've opened up our youth center to the community, to the network. So just kind of give a shout out, and like I said, people go, sometimes it's 8 to 15 people. It's not like, oh my God, it's overwhelmingly huge group, but we have couches, water, snacks, drinks, so people, if you want to kind of take a load off and things like that. So how many LGBTQ individuals come to the clinic for services?
Well, I would say about, maybe we've had maybe 15 over the 2 years that the clinic's been open. It's not a high enough number for us. We want to encourage more services. They don't know we're
If you
there.
build it, they will come.
Yes.
No, if they don't know you're there, they ain't
Yes.
coming.
And it's not always name change or record sealing. It could be restraining orders. It could be, when we sit down with someone, we want to know what other legal problems they might have, because if it's something we can help with, we will, and if it's not something we do, we'll make referrals.
Sorry. One house down, gotta suck my other one. I get wicked dry when we talk on the show, sorry guys. So what's the percent of like male to female who come in, like age, race, gender?
I would say, I don't know, race I would say is probably 50-50 for white and people of color. I would say gender is primarily female. And I think a lot of that is because of the domestic violence. But the reason we want to do outreach in the LGBTQ community is because we know domestic violence happens at the same rate as, different sex relationships. And in the transgender community, it's very high. 80% of transgender women report abuse, and abuse is high also of trans men. And what we also see is that very often when a trans individual is abused, the police might treat it as a hate crime and not call it domestic violence. So we want to be open to people who might need restraining orders or other remedies that are available for gender violence.
So we're very lucky, I feel, and I always say that for us. Somebody says, do you do this help in Rhode Island? Can somebody from Rhode Island come over and use your services?
No, because we don't do, none of us is licensed for Rhode Island.
So I apologize. You guys just see these names. God help me.
I should add, if it's a Rhode Island resident, but the criminal record was incurred in Massachusetts, we can help that person.
Oh, there you go.
But if it involves Rhode Island law, we do not, but we're happy to make referrals.
There you go.
Yes.
There's a shout out for that.
You know of any place in Rhode Island?
Well, I was going to say that Roger Williams Law School has clinics also.
Yeah.
So I would suggest calling them if there's
Yeah, it's
Rhode
a
Island.
very
law
good
involved.
question, and I can't pronounce your name. I'm just gonna say Novo, it's easier. Thank you, Novo. So I say each week I tell everybody, go back after the show and look at the names of people who write in, and I'm like, oh my God. But that's just me. So let's see, so the clinic, is it just for UMass Dartmouth students only? So
No.
you talked about that?
No.
No.
So you just have to be
We'll
a
assist
Mass
anyone.
residents?
Yes.
And any age group that you help?
Any age group, except I will say for minors,
Yeah.
it can pose problems if there's no parental consent, or if the teen is not emancipated but under 18. So we'll meet with
I was gonna say, because
the
what
clients.
if it's my mom, my dad, my whoever, my brother, my sister?
Right,
We don't want it
and
to
we may
happen.
sort that out. We
Yeah.
had one case where we just, it was a 17-year-old who needed the name change, and mom was not cooperating, so we just waited until the client turned 18.
Yeah. It's tough out there, we just see so many kids that are homeless,
Exactly.
couch surfing, and I don't know if you know, getting ready for last week's show, Linda Spinner, who's been on our show, she is a female heterosexual that received HIV, not received, I guess, has AIDS, HIV from her husband from many years ago. She works at the Greater Bedford Health, and they just got all their statistics, and they're gonna send me like a whole bunch, but she just told me New Bedford is number 2 with HIV, with young men.
For the
ages-
increase in,
Yeah.
yes.
Ages 14 to 24, men having sex with other men and transgender women. And that's one of the things, that's why our AGLE goes to 24. Other AGLEs in the state go to 22. And we're like, listen, we still need to be here for those young adults.
That's right.
And, I know you said, 50% are white or of color that go to, 15 is great. But finding those people to come out and say I'm having problems is a problem that we're seeing all around. I've talked many times on our show that our youth group has marched in the Cape Verdean Parade. If you've ever been to New Bedford's Cape Verdean Parade, it's amazing. I mean, it's all around the block, da-da-da. And I see babies and their moms, no age group until your mom and dad and grandparents. So that age group, they're just missing. And this will be our 3rd year marching. Last year I had a cow, thank God. But it's just me, I notice these things as we're going around.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we need to try and get these kids out and get them to say, listen, there's a problem. And a lot of it is, because one of the shows we have coming up is grandparents raising their grandkids. We know what it's like back in the day, your grandma would kick your butt.
Yeah.
Grandpa says, there's a shoe, and you have the dock. But that's just the way that they were brought up. That's the way that they, their parents raised them, and breaking that cycle is just so hard right now. That some of these kids are like, I can't say that I can't even hang with you. I can't say that I'm gay. Never mind bisexual. Never mind anything. I'm going to get out of my home. I'm going to be disowned. Where am I going to live? What's going on? There's just so much that's out there for everybody. Add the fact that you're trans now. The Human Relations Commission in town has come to our youth group one night. Kevin was actually there. I forgot her name already, God help me. Marcy Pina Christian, sorry. Had a trans individual, male to female, and had no place to live. What's going on right now? She's staying with the mom, but the mom only has a single unit. I'll get kicked out. My kid's here. What can you do to help us? And people are reaching out. Even just knock on the door. What happened last week? A therapist stopped by because we don't have drop-in hours. That's my next question for you guys. We don't have drop-in hours. So we have information if you want to contact us. But she said, I've come by a couple times. I've got a couple of youth that want to come. So her and her wife now joined our volunteer group for Pride and all these other events we have coming up. But people just still don't know what's going on. So do you guys have drop-in hours, or do people need to call and say?
Well, that's an interesting point. Maybe we should have. And anyone's welcome to stop by.
Yeah.
But typically what we do is then make an appointment unless we have a student available when the person happens to stop in. Yeah. And I should mention, when we're talking about difficulties for transgender individuals, Terry might want to talk about our health insurance work.
Yes, and I was thinking about this when you were talking about one of your kids that are going through the changes, because we find that transgender
Men.
men,
Yeah.
the women changing to men, find it difficult to get their insurance companies to pay for gynecological services.
Yeah.
If they haven't had the full surgery, there's still things biologically that they would still need a gynecologist for. And insurance companies seem to be confused, especially if they've gone through some changes and the name change, and all they can see in paper, this is a man. Why would that man need a gynecologist?
Yeah.
So part of what we're doing is trying to educate insurance companies, and until they understand that this is going on and this person still needs gynecological services until their full surgery is done, and then they've completely transitioned.
So what are you guys doing for the educational piece to, bring to these doctors, or excuse me, the insurance companies? What is it that you guys are all working on to combat that?
Well, I think working individually with the companies is successful. I think that just as you can influence each adjuster, or whatever they call their division for paying claims, along the way, that's where we make progress. We handle also other insurance issues for people. Most of our clients could not otherwise afford lawyers. And with, insurance companies can just be obstinate in not paying a claim that should be covered under the policy. And so we work with them and have had good success. But sometimes we have to sort of go above to the legal department and have a discussion with them.
And by that time, the person's already frustrated. I didn't get what if I'm on the pill?
Right.
I can't get my pill. I can't because you need a prescription, and I mean, now you're pregnant.
Right.
And now I'm like, we just talked about this before. One of our youth, female
That's
to
right.
male, going through the whole change of testosterone. Next time I saw him, he had a baby. And I'm like, oh, damn, I'm too old for this. I'm like, whose baby? He goes, mine. And I'm like, what? Because I still didn't know you could have a baby when you're on the team. But yeah, he does. He's like, I'm a daddy. That's my kid. I had him. I'm like, okay, good for you.
I think there's a correlation or connection between what you said before about the stats after the bathroom bill, or the public accommodations bill was passed, and you had this International Trans Day celebration, and all of a sudden you had all of this negativity, right? There is still a gap about the education and advocacy needed for the trans community after all these big steps have been made sort of on the state level, which really makes the work at on the community level and the clinic level really important with what Margaret and her students are doing. So for instance, even with the child marriage law, there's a lot of gray areas within the trafficking area. So, for instance, there are offenses that are tied to sex trafficking in statutory wise, but there are other loopholes, for instance, with a child marriage bill.
That's so scary.
Yeah, and this affects LGBT youth. The problem with awareness of LGBT youth issues is that it seems with the popular mainstream imagination, gay marriage came along, it's great, now we have the bathroom bills are coming along, what else do they need? Yeah. And this goes back to also to your comment about noticing that in celebrations that, for instance, there's a gap between the people who are participating, that there's an invisibility issue with people, queer folks of a particular age. Is that they...
In color for us.
Yeah, in color, yes.
Sorry, because as I keep reading you name the color and the nationality, they're all over the streets. It's amazing.
Right.
If you haven't been, you got to go. And
the problem, I think, is in some ways is a bigger problem than we actually think. It's the mainstream LGBTQ lobby groups and awareness groups are not really focusing on youth issues and sex trafficking issues or trans issues, because the big ticket items are what they're focusing on. And, well, great, that's great. Big ticket items are helpful for us to understand the LGBTQ experience, but there are things on the everyday level that, like name changes and insurance issues that don't get coverage because they're not sensational enough.
Well, we were part of the S13 campaign on our network, and we actually met in Fall River and all the people that were running it for the Massachusetts, and there was only like 15 people out of the whole area that came, and 4 or 5 of them were us. We're like, well, that sucks. Mm-hmm. When I had a national, October 11th is National Coming Out Day.
Yes.
I had the event at our local gay bar. Why don't you come? We'll do the phone banks, we'll set it all up. One person came. And I'm like, it's us. We're not helping us. Never mind, how are we going to help you if you're not even coming to help, gay people aren't coming to help gay people right now. I'll kind of leave it at that. That's what I've seen in our community. We did a National Coming Out Day event 2 years ago, and we did it away from our bar. We had food and beverages at the Irish Latte Pub. We actually had a ribbon ceremony on Route 18. One of the trees we were able to hang some rainbow ribbons from, and only like 15 people showed up for the event. So there's certain things that people are like, I ain't coming out for that. No. And we have a good group of people that will come to go to the bar and hear like one of our friends sing or things like that. But people coming out, I again, trying to figure out why they're not coming out to help support each other. And we talk about on some of our other shows that in the gay community, we've segregated ourselves.
Yes.
I'm a twink, or I'm a this,
yes.
or I'm a that, or I'm a black gay, I'm a lesbian gay, I'm a dyke, I'm a butch. I'm like, come on, people! We've segregated ourselves and we've subgrouped the own gay community.
Yes.
And how do we get that back? And that's why we keep trying to do the events that we're doing and having these conversations. And let's say next week's show is going to be on HIV and AIDS, and 2 weeks from now it's going to be our transgender show. Because, I'll give us a shout out for the movie right now, the network is part of a collaboration and the New Bedford LGBTQ Film Winter Series. So I'm going to give you guys a shout out to our co-partners. Greater New Bedford Community Health Center, shout out to Antonio, he's been at the MC at the events. New Bedford Art Museum, Artworks, New Bedford Historical Society, New Bedford Whaling Museum, New Bedford Whaling National Historical Park, Health Imperatives and Community Counseling of Bristol County, New Bedford Free Public Library, the South Coast LGBTQ Network, the Center, the Women's Center, Umass Dartmouth Center for Women, Gender and Sexuality, WYCA Southeastern Massachusetts. So next month will be, actually this month, April 28th will be our 4th movie series. So the three generations that we had last month on, I don't even have the date, sorry, 3/24. Susan Sarandon is a gay woman, a lesbian, we say it that way, and she has a daughter who's transitioning, wants to be a young man, and so it's 3 generations kind of going through that whole spiel and tale, and at the end, it was an awesome communication and question and answer segment. Professor Drew was on it, and one of the panelists, Quinn, will be on our show, and I actually videotaped the conversations that the audience had with the panel discussions. Nikolai was also on it, Quinn, yourself, and I forgot who the other, oh, Joni, sorry, Joan Stratton, sorry, Joni. But it was just a great conversation to have afterwards. And this movie coming up is Pariah, and it's at 4/28, on 4/28 at 1 o'clock. And again, after the movie, we have a discussion afterwards of a panel discussion. So I just think, after the 3 Generations movie, and after the March 31st event, like I said, the hate that's going out there, I'm doing another trans show. I've done a couple already, and it's just not enough. When we had the S13, we actually had them come on our show and talk about what's going on and what people could do to vote and, do the phone banks, go door to door. And actually one of our youth, one of our peer leaders actually was part of that. She says, I'll do it. So she went door to door, and then after a while she just, kept doing the phone banking.
And I'd like to add that after the show on April 28th, we will do some tabling.
Yep.
So if anyone's interested in learning more about clinic services, we will have at least one student there. I will be away.
Somebody will be there.
Aisha may be there, and yes, we'll have at least one student.
Yeah.
There.
So it's kind of great. Before the movie starts, you can kind of walk around and check out the resources. And after the movie, we have like coffee and crackers and cookies and brownies. And then it's like a meet and greet. You can kind of talk to us afterwards, because we actually do a lot. It's nice that the library is there, because nobody uses the library. Obviously, nobody uses the library anymore. So you talk about what's going on for the library. And again, all those groups that we talked about are there. And it's nice to be able to to reach out to some of the resources that are available. 2 movies ago, I know we had 85 people watch it because it was in the Standard Times. So the Standard Times has been there 2 out of the 4 movies so far talking about what's been going on. And after, what was the movie for 3 Generations? Kevin, you were there, right? Cloudburst. Connie from the Fairhaven Council on Aging said, come to our dinner, follow us. And that week, that was the most they've ever had.
Oh, wow.
It was just amazing. So I guess I'll give a shout out to them right now because I have it in our log here. So the LGBT Senior Supper Club is held on the 4th Wednesday of every month from 5 to 7 at the Fairhaven Council on Aging, Route 6, 229 Huddleston Ave in Fairhaven. And it's in partnership with Cosign Elderly. And I try and go once a month. Since Tom's been on our show and other elders have been on our show, and we know what happens when you're young and you're coming out, and then where you're at, and then when you're old, you kind of hide again going into the services. We're actually going to be doing a monthly segment on our show called What Show Matters. So Tom has been on our show, doesn't want to be called old, doesn't want to be called elder, doesn't want to be called senior, I'm mature. So our segment is based on his feedback. And we're going to interview elders in our community and see where they're at, what's going on, how the community can help, and maybe shed some light of what the needs are, and have a one-on-one. And I'll tape them where they're at, and I'll show that segment on our show. So I'll kind of give a shout out to them. But yeah, the movie series has kind of brought us to another level as a network.
Yes.
People are like, oh, I didn't know you existed. No, same as our youth group. 8 years now. On downtown, we're downtown. Our kids like, well, we want our own place. Well, where do you want to be? I want to be downtown. I want to be storefront. Well, that's where we're at. Storefront property. Here we are. So let's see. What do my tattoos say? God help me. I can't. I'm reading it as we go. Hit me up afterwards. I'll be more than glad to. I wear my heart on my sleeve. So everything that you see and read, it tells you a little bit about who I am. So meet me some other time. Oh, go to the movie series on the 28th, and I will show you them. Not all of them, now, but most of them. How's that? Time check?
7:47.
Oh, we're doing really good. See, the time just flies. You don't even know it. Let's see. I have questions, so I'm getting there. So I want to go back to the ceiling records and stuff. So I'm coming in, and I'm female to male, and I've got my issues, and I walk in. How long does that take? The process. You don't have to go from, oh, I got to get your name, I got to do the clinician work, I got to do da-da-da-da. So from start to finish, how long would it take for my records to seal? What's the average case, would you know?
For record sealing?
Yeah.
First, it depends on when, like Professor Drew said, when was the last time when your probation or parole is over, 3 or 7 years, depending. And the first step would be to request the record, and that's what we do online. It can also be done by mail, and wait for that to come so it can be read and we can know where we're standing.
So is it like a 1-week process, a 2-week process for that to start, and then once you get my information, what happens after that?
I would say if folks are interested in the record sealing, apply for your Quarry now. They're pretty fast. If you do it by mail, you should have it within 2 weeks. If you do it online, it will happen probably in 48 hours. However, open all your emails because it's not an obvious email. It's not going to say Quarry available or whatever.
Check the spam as well?
Yes. So that really speeds up the process for us. And then it's really how quickly people can organize the supporting documents, because one thing that's not required but is important is for people to have letters of support. So if someone's been sober for 2 years or can document being denied work or housing because of the record, we want letters or whatever documentation we can get, so the stronger we can make the case. So it could take 3 weeks for us to put the file together. And then if it's mailed in administratively, usually within 2 months you hear. If it goes into court, which, if someone was arrested, then it was dismissed, we're probably going to take that into court because you don't have to wait the 3 years. You can go into court right away. So that usually would probably add a few weeks to the process to get before a judge. And then hopefully within a month the judge would make a decision.
I think one of the hard things about probably being transgender, and I'm only guessing, I'm sorry, because I'm not transgender, is going to fill out the paperwork as a male and a female shows up in front of you to rent the place. You know, I do my research when I was a DM for Tedeschi Food Shops. I tell my staff, listen, if you get behind as management, I'll go through it on Facebook and Google y'all. So I set them up. I said, this is a no pile, because I can just tell by, I don't know, I get this like, Zen thing, and I'm like, oh, that's a no, that's a no, that's a no. How do you know? Like, I just filled the application. Then I take that processes and I Facebook and Google you. Well, the person's name was male, and when I went to look at the Facebook search, I could tell she was transitioning.
Yes.
So when we set up the interview, I said, hi, I'm Traci, I'm the DM. I said, I prefer she, her pronouns. What do you prefer, and what name would you like us to use?
Yes.
I mean, it could be that simple.
Yeah.
And those are the same
You know?
questions we ask also.
Or if I meet you out in public and I'm not sure, I'm like, hi, I'm Traci, you know, I go by
Yes.
she, her, hers. And then you'll say, hi, I'm Bob, and I go by here, you know.
Right.
You may, hi, I'm Bob, you know. Even somebody could say, hi, I'm Bob, and still identify as she. That confuses me. I'm sorry. To this day, I'm like, I don't get it, you know. I'm
Yeah.
working on it. I'm almost 55, and I'm working on it.
So we want to make sure that the clients are treated with respect.
Yeah.
And simple things like asking what you prefer for pronouns can make a big difference in just making someone comfortable.
Yeah. Like, and we talked about domestic violence earlier, that we actually had the police chief on our show. So it was just kind of nice that he came on the show, talk about, you know, the training and stuff that they have. And we'll try to work on, now they just need more training with trans individuals.
Yes.
You know, that was kind of, we only have a few minutes left. Let's see. I'm going to read some stuff.
I think I would like to
Yeah,
clarify
please.
that the second bill that I talked about, that 13 years and older, they can get a restraining order.
Yeah.
But that's separate. But the clinic also helps everyone, all the individuals who want to get a restraining order or they want to get it on behalf of their child.
Yeah.
And we also focus on safety planning. So we cover many crucial and important issues. We tell the client, okay, what are your needs? What are your resources? Do you have any children? What about them? To basically to guide them further.
Well, that's
and how to
terrific.
proceed about it.
2 months ago, my foster daughter, we had to go get a harassment order. She had to stalk her from the bus going to her job.
Oh.
You know, and we're like, well, they couldn't start a restraining order, it's a harassment order because you didn't know him. I said, well, can you prove that he was doing it? And I said, well, he followed her to the job. And because there's so many different people that work there and different managers, they didn't realize that he kept coming in and asking for my foster daughter or calling where she worked. Until they realized he showed up at the job before they opened, knocking on the door, asking for her. And that's when they realized for the last, week and a half, he's been stalking her. So then we called the police and not a shout out to DCF or a bad DCF, but they weren't going to do anything about it. So I said, well, I need to, I'm a parent.
Right.
So we went and got the 2 week, and then we had to go back up for 2 weeks, and he never showed up. And now we have a year harassment order against this
Good.
gentleman.
Because I don't think
Yeah.
people generally appreciate that stalking is a very high-risk behavior.
Yeah.
So that it's comforting to know you took some
Yeah,
action.
well, I think the thing that scared me the most is he's 40 years old, schizophrenic, and he's done this 25 other times. And I'm like, well, I think it'll be my kid you're going to see on the damn ass news. I'm sorry.
Right.
I said, I need to protect my kid. Well, he has this habit. And I'm like, no, what if he's off his meds? What if something happened? What if he's stressed? I'm like, no, it ain't happened with my kid.
You never
You know?
know when something serious is going to happen, which is why the restraining orders can be important.
Oh, yeah. Do you have another thought, Terry? I saw you.
Yes, adding on to what Professor Drew was saying about the quarry,
Yeah.
if the person has done community service or
Yeah.
volunteer work, letters supporting that and saying for how long or whatever are in their best interest.
So you're encouraged to have as much positive information about yourself going in.
Yes, and
Yeah.
like, how are you a new person? Or I have all these people supporting that this is what I'm doing and this is why I've changed. And sometimes even an affidavit stating that was then, this is now, this is what I've done. And that's where the supporting letters and whatnot really make the whole package. So that the person looking at this says, you know what, it does look like this person really deserves a chance. Let's seal this record.
So we, as a network, have different programs that we run, and 50% of the proceeds, so AJ, if you want to put up our sponsorship for the show, 50% of all the proceeds and all the ads that we have for the show, sponsorship, somebody can do a show takeover. It's your agenda. You and I will speak and talk. It's your, whatever you want to talk about, it's your hour, and you can do that. For a certain fee, New Bedford Guide will go to your business and film commercials, and we'll show them on the air. And because of the technology that's behind the scenes and all the work, any 50% that we make goes to these programs that we run. So I want to let you guys know, we talked about the OUIs. We started gay AA called Sober and Out. So Sunday mornings at our center is Sober and Out. We talked about Pride Cafe on Mondays from 7 to 9. It supports fostering acceptance, friendship, community, support, advice, and openness. Our NB Agley is a closed group, if you want to call it that, ages 14 to 24. It's youth-driven, peer-led, and adult-supported program for LGBTQ identified youth and allies of the Greater Bedford area. The programs provide education, support, leadership, and development. We actually talk about, a couple weeks ago, we actually did HIV and AIDS. We talked about last week, I wasn't there last week, you know, healthy foods, what you should have on your plate. A couple weeks before, you know, good news, bad news, you know, what you know, could take your energy away from you, what you should be giving out. I mean, each week we have an educational piece, and then, like I said, we play Trouble on Thursday night. So what? It's actually like a Disney Princess Trouble. It's not like Trouble when we were kids. And sometimes we do the Jenga, so it's like a fun piece. We actually have done condom demonstrations. You name it, you know, we kind of do it to, as much as I don't want my kids having sex, God help me, we know that some of them are. We know that they're trying to make ends meet, they're trying to sell their body. We actually give out bleach kits and condoms, and we talk about that at the beginning of each of our things. Yoga is starting again, so check out the Facebook page for the LGBTQ Voice or the South Coast LGBT Network, because it starts as an 8-week lesson on Wednesday nights. And that is, I don't know, what time is the yoga, 6:30?
6:30 to 7:30.
Yes, 6:30 to 7:30, and it's just to kind of get people out and about and kind of moving and whatnot. So just a couple shuttles that we have going on. Jeff Costa actually had a grant, and we actually had yoga for almost 2 years at our Center for the Kids, and the grant kind of ended, so we wanted to kind of keep that going. So somebody else kind of took that over for us. But we have our a couple events coming up I want to talk to you guys about. I'm so excited about our 50th anniversary Stonewall event. It's at the Harbor Hotel downtown New Bedford. It's $25 per ticket. So we're hosting a meet and greet with David Velasco Bermudez, and what a great way to hear his story about how him and 200 people were in the bar, the doors closed, and you couldn't get out. There's 5 police officers there trying to stop you from getting out, and back then, 50 years ago, I would be arrested today. I have to wear 3 articles of women's clothing or I would be arrested. So right now I'm done. I would be arrested. Back then it was illegal to be gay. So the police would come in and they would harass you. It was a mafia-owned bar. And this particular night, again, you'll hear David's story, but Judy Garland had passed away from the Wizard of Oz, the Red Slippers, click, 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 there's no place like home. They all wanted to go home that night and they couldn't get out. So she had passed away. They were celebrating her life. A bunch of people just got together, and that's the night that the police decided to raid the bar. Whether the mafia didn't pay them that week, so the police were like coming in. Usually what happens is you go against the wall and you have your ID ready. Once the lights flick, you know the cops are there. So you just stand there, you have your ID ready, because back then you'd be arrested, you lose your job, and you lose your housing. Because it wasn't until 1989 that public accommodations were acceptable 30 years ago for people in Massachusetts. So I would be arrested, I'd lose my housing, lose my job, and I'm on the streets. So not only are we celebrating the 50th anniversary of Stonewall riots, of them trying to fight for their lives to get out, and their dignity and their respect, it's the 30th anniversary of prohibiting discrimination against LGBTQ in public accommodations. It's also the 15th anniversary of marriage equality. And May 31st is actually the first event that the network held 5 years ago, remembering a decade of marriage equality. So we have a lot of stuff going on May 31st at the Harbor Hotel. You can go on our Facebook page and get the information to buy tickets online, or you can just email myself. I know it's on the header that AJ has, Traci at sclgbtqnetwork.org. I mean, that's a huge event that we have coming up, but besides that huge event, which I'm so excited to be doing, we have our own South Coast Pride. So that Friday night, we have this event. Sunday day, we have Pride. We start with a 1.9 wellness walk around Buttonwood Park. We have yoga with our Jeff Costa, love you, shout out to Jeff, at 9:45 for like an hour, and then our Pride events from 11 to 4. So we have a huge event coming up, and we're hoping to have our after party at La Place, so we're still working that out. So we go from 7 a.m. to 2 a.m., and after that's done, because people may want to go to the bar and hang out with friends and hang out, so we're still kind of working on that piece. And one more piece of shout out. So AHA in New Bedford is, the third Thursday of every month. June 13th is actually going to be gay night, so it's going to be an AHA Pride theme event, and we have so much going on. We already have an hour of drag, so if you've never seen any drag what's going on whatsoever, we're going to be showing the movie of Stonewall Uprising. We're actually going to be a block party. We blocked off Acushnet Avenue, and the street in front of the Garden, is a bar down there called the Garden. We have that whole intersection blocked off. Seven Hills Twist is going to be there for HIV testing. Other vendors will be around as well. And it's just going to be a great day. They're going to have a DJ there playing music. There'll be hip hop and dancing throughout after the drag, we call it the Drag Power Hour. So there's a lot that's going on behind the scenes. Time check, we're done?
8:01.
Oh my God, we're late.
Wow.
Thank you so much
I just
for
wanted to
having
know,
us.
thank you guys for coming.
Thank you.
And
Thank
you know,
you.
if you guys out there have a organization that may want to come and talk to the network, you may want to say, you know what, Trace, I have an idea, a topic for your show. Me or Eileen, you guys know our information. It's on the header of the show. And Eileen, we'll see you next week. Take care. Bye now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.